Hey everybody, Alvinator here from Mulligans and Hackers, and today on the podcast we've got Jordan from Odin Golf. How you doing, pal?
Alvin, so great to see you, man. How are you?
I am good, pal, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have you on the pod and jam with you for a little bit here. I was over the moon when you said, "Yeah, man, I'll jump on the pod. You bet." I've been looking forward to this since we actually confirmed that we would do this. So again, appreciate your time, pal. Appreciate you jumping on, and this is going to be a really good jam session.
Oh, I'm always game, man, for jamming and shooting the shit. And like we were talking about earlier, we could jam for hours because we're rabid enthusiasts, right?
Again, you could talk about the game forever. And again, I consider myself a newbie to the game, and I have so much to learn about the game, and that's kind of why I like getting just chatting with everybody that's been in golf for a while. Is because I'm new to this, and I just want to find out everything. So Odin Golf, can you give us a little bit of backstory on where it came from, how it started, and your role in the whole process of getting Odin, the name, the brand, off the ground?
So the backstory is I'm originally from Northern California, the San Francisco Bay Area, which is one of the many golf meccas through the globe. 11 years ago, I moved to Berlin, where I'm sitting now, Berlin, Germany, grungy but sexy with Depeche Mode at every corner. Quite a wild place. I moved here for work originally, and basically we started Odin here. So my backstory is, so I've been working in the tech scene out here in Berlin. Berlin in Europe is a tech hub similar to San Francisco or New York. A lot of big software companies have been built here in Europe. So, given I grew up around San Francisco and around the tech scene, I wanted to live in Europe and work in the tech scene. So, I moved out here for work. And at one of the first companies I worked at, I met a couple other colleagues who were also expats. One Brit and actually two locals, two Germans, and we were complete golf rabbit enthusiasts, which, if you know Germany and the scene here, is not very common. Are you familiar with how golf works out here?
No, not at all.
So first off, you need a license to play golf here, which I'm still mind boggled to this day about why that exists.
Okay.
It basically, it's akin to taking a DMV driving test. You basically apply and say, "Hey, I want to play golf in Germany and I want to apply for a license." You go onto the course, and someone driving a golf cart behind you with a clipboard basically has a checklist, like similar to, "Hey, can this person parallel park, or are they going to hit the cones?" So it's like the equivalent on the golf course, which essentially for us isn't shitting the bed really. So they just, I mean, Canada, the US, basically, if you have a heartbeat, you can play.
Yeah.
That is not the case here. So they
Wow.
follow you and they give you this license. When I moved here and I wanted to play golf, they're like, "Yeah, you need a license to play." And I basically flipped them the bird. I was like, "I'm not doing whatever racket you're running here with the license." And eventually it turned into like a negotiation. I remember it very vividly. Eventually, I just said, "Oh yeah, I'm a member of Pebble Beach," and they were like, "Oh, okay," even though I'm not a member of Pebble Beach, and that I don't even know if a membership exists. But it was basically like, you need to just let me come and play this course here, and everyone knows Pebble Beach globally. So anyway, it was, I'm half jokingly, but it was basically like that. So I don't have a license here, so I wanted to rebel against the system of sorts. So there's that, which that alone gives it a massive barrier for anyone wanting to play here. Second off, it's incredibly expensive, more so than it is in the US or in Canada or the UK. The people that play golf, it's a very specific persona. It's usually people on the older end, retired with a lot of money, and that's what the culture equates it to. So when I told people here, when I play golf, they looked at me very funny and said, "Oh, well, are you like a millionaire or something?" I said, "No. Like, why would that be the case? I grew up playing muni courses, kind of the blue collar golf. hit the track and then karaoke on hole 19 in a couple pops. That's my scene, not the country club scene. So which we'll get into Odin with, building for the everyday golfer. So that was the lens and the context of which, was Germany and German golf. So I met a couple expats in Berlin because Berlin is a hodgepodge of different cultures. It's a breadbasket of very, very international people. If you ask Germans about Berlin, a lot of people will jokingly say it's not Germany. It's not the quintessential Germany that people know. It's very, very international. You hear English everywhere, Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, everything under the sun. So I had met a couple local guys and gals here in Berlin who were also rabid golf enthusiasts who also knew that it wasn't about how much money you had or a status symbol. It was for the love of the game, essentially. And I got close with a couple guys. One I used to work with, and then two other guys that I met through him. And the four of us were out playing one day, and we're everyday golfers between 12 and 25 handicaps. Enough to have some fun, but not shit the bed too much where it's a terrible experience. So the four of us are out one day and we are not having good rounds at all. And I know, Alvin, you've probably been there many times.
A few.
We all have them. So we're basically spraying, as we like to call, marketing material all over the course. We're donating to the lake, the forest. We're essentially emptying our bags out of incredibly expensive golf balls from incredibly expensive golf ball brands. And we were on the 12th hole and we're just looking at each other. We're like, shit, this is out of control. I'm going to have to go into the shop and start buying range balls or pinnacles here because we've emptied our wallets. So we said, why are we losing golf balls of brands that they're old, they're stuffy, they're very expensive, they're built for the pros, and they don't speak to us as the next generation of golfers, first off. And second, we are digital natives consuming golf in new and innovative ways. There's a huge mismatch here. So that was kind of the unlock for us forward. Say, let's embark on something, build something for the everyday golfer because we're just numbers in these marketing engines of all the big brands. They're not building for the pros. And for us as Odin, we don't care about the pros. We care about you, the everyday golfer. That was the first impetus of the idea that we had for Odin. And Odin, the name, is Odin is a Nordic god of wisdom. So if you think about Odin, there's the Marvel Odin that everyone knows in the movies. And if you Google Odin, there's a mythical painting of Odin. He's sitting on a big throne and he has a giant staff. And we said, shit, that looks like a giant putter. So I think this might be the match for us. And that was where the name came from. We started in Europe and we wanted to pay homage to the European motherland of sorts. So that's where that came from.
Cool. Um, so you got the name. So now how do you get to the point where you're getting that name onto a golf ball that's made and designed for you? Like how does that process work? Because that can, to me, as just an everyday golfer that's never really doesn't have that insight background into creating a product. Like how do you go from, okay, we have a name, how do you go from getting that name onto a golf ball that's yours?
The vision that we had for Odin was this platform for the everyday golfer. So not only a destination where you could get balls and gear, but also a digital experience. And we really set out at the beginning, we want to gamify golf for the everyday golfer and give everyday golfers what they get, what the pros get from the traditional brands. So, and the other backstory is, so the four of us built and scaled software companies. So we came from a building software world, which is much different than hardware, which golf balls, we could call them hardware. It's a physical good. So we were coming from the software world. So we really wanted to build a digital experience for the everyday golfer. And we said, we want to come out of the gate with balls. That was kind of the playing field that we wanted to set. We didn't want to do hats or apparel, which is an important part of it. But we wanted to come out something that was very compelling. Again, it spoke to the pain that we had on the course that day, losing balls, reloading, and we said we want to be able to reload without the guilt. That was the first part of it. The second part of it is, given our software background, we always built software for what is the utility and the pain we're solving for the customer. So how can we translate that into the golf ball experience? So what we did was we didn't start with any elaborate what's the technology, what's the craziness about this, because golf brands traditionally, as you know, spoke to the consumer like in a very complicated way. This is a triple tracked mantle 10 times over. No one cares what that means or understands. So we said we want to start with the utility. So we said, what are the different personas of a golf player? There's the sticks, there's the middle of the roads, 8 to 10 handicap, there's the 15 to 25, and then there's the beginners. What do they need out of a golf ball experience? So that's how we started. We basically said, let's work backwards from that. And once we knew who the personas were we wanted to target, we basically found in manufacturing partners overseas and Asia to base, and we said, this is the experience we want to get out of a golf ball. Can we basically architect that? And we found one. We actually found multiple, and we spent 9 months testing it. The four of us are different player types, swing speeds, handicaps, etc. We had friends and family testing different prototypes out, and eventually we said we can actually get these personas the utility and the value we want, and also live to our value of reload without the guilt and go balls out always. So even if you are spraying marketing material all over the track, you can at least have some pops and grub after and have the money for that. So that was how we started.
So right now, your golf ball line is the Odin X and the Odin X1, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you have right now is on the market. That's what you've been having there for the consumer since day one, or did one come first and the other one come after?
They both came from day one. We wanted to keep it very simple. And that was the other thing, not having 10 different models, just two that could cover most of the personas that we wanted to. So I would say candidly, while we do have sticks and very, very seasoned players playing our balls, specifically the X1 ball, which is akin to a Pro V1, TP5, etc., that kind of player, we are targeted. I mean, you can tell by when you look at our brand, the rabble rouser, Muni player, everyday golfer. We do have people who are playing on amateur tours, and we wanted to give people an experience they could get from a traditional brand, but as opposed to 50 beans a dozen is 34.99. And then we had our X ball, which is the white box on our site. That was for slower swing speeds, beginners, but also people who didn't mind donating to the lake, and they didn't necessarily need a pro level ball. But they could get it wasn't a rock. That was the other thing. We didn't want to cheap out for the sake of cheaping out. We also wanted to give them a good experience. So those are the two models we started with. We did have some other models down the line that we wanted to come out with. We've always had a roadmap of a ton of stuff, but we're still, there's the four of us running it. Champagne tastes on a beer budget is our
Yeah,
MO.
yeah, yeah.
So we didn't want to spread ourselves too thin. We didn't raise any sort of outside capital. It's always been bootstrapped. So that was running it very leanly, brick by brick, is kind of how we wanted to build the business.
And now I went to your site and I looked at it, and the Odin X, I think it was $19 a box.
Mm-hmm.
That's the price point. That's not bad for a decent golf ball. And then the Odin X1 was at the 34.99 range. So
Yes.
when I went to the website, first thing that pops up to me is the 20% cashback program. So give us a little explanation on that.
The through line of all of this is mentioning what I said before. We want to give the everyday golfer what the traditional brands give to the pros. And part of that was gamifying golf and you associating us as a brand as giving back to the community. So the other thing that we did as part of this platform approach, you associate with Odin and you engage with Odin and you get value out of it in different ways. So if you think about a platform company we use on a daily basis, Meta and Google's a good example. You use it for calendar, email, running ads, sharing photos, etc. That's a platform. You get value out of it in different ways. That was how we wanted to build Odin. So the other thing that we did was we incubated the Odin Social Club from day one, which was essentially our community get-togethers, meetups, tournaments, etc. So we're all hanging out on these digital watering holes. We want to get everyone together in person. It's what you guys are doing too, which is incredible. Getting the crew together in person because it's fantastic to be able to do this digitally, but we want to hit the sticks together. That's the core of all of this. That's the through line. So we incubated that and grew it. Now we have thousands of members all over the US and we have events and we call them shindigs, which are basically it's a play on a concert, getting the band together and we all play golf, but it's not about gunning for each other. It's getting the band together in person, breaking bread, having some pops if you want, and playing and just jamming in person and shooting the shit in person. So that was one thing that we did, and we said, given you're associating with us as a brand, we actually want to give value and money back to you as a person, as a patron of Odin. So what we did was we started this get paid to play golf sponsorship, which is a play on what the pros get. Obviously, we're not paying out millions of bucks, but the idea is you could go anywhere to buy golf stuff. A million different places. There's 1,000 golf ball companies, 10,000 hat companies. You name it, you can get it. But if you associate with us, we're going to get back to you. So what we started with is we actually started PayPaling and Venmoing people money when they bought a dozen. You reload, and then we give you up to 20% cash back. And what we wanted them to do is, and what people did is, they went and spent that money at courses. So we wanted to give money back to the community and then also to the courses. So this ecosystem of value flowing throughout. So we would have people use it for lessons, use it for grub at the course, or putting it towards their green fee, or upgrading their outfit. And they would get darts when they bought from us. And we launched that for leagues and clubs all over the U.S. amateur leagues, which really took off. And then we opened it up to everyone who shops with Odin. And then it morphed into the 2.0 of Odin store credit, essentially, because what we found was everyone needs balls. We need to reload. We want you to get even more value out of it. So the cashback now is not money per se. It's basically you can put that towards darts or hats or whatever you want on the Odin shop.
That's a fantastic idea. Again, we were talking about it off camera before we started here. Golf is an expensive sport, so anything you can
Mm-hmm.
actually, if you buy a product, anything you can get back from buying that product is definitely an
Mm-hmm.
advantage in this game. That it's not cheap to play. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I think specifically the X1 is a great example. How we basically position that is that 15 bucks that you're saving, go put that towards anything you want from a golf experience. So, the playful example is go get a bloody and a breakfast burrito, or you need a tune up, go put it, you're getting lessons from the club pro, or you want to go, buy a bucket of range balls and then treat yourself to an ice cream after. Have that ability to do that. So again, it gets back to the utility of it, of a brand, not only the sentiment of the brand, but the actual utility. The other thing we learned is, I mean, you know this too, as a consumer, listening to music or ordering food or on Amazon, that it's incredibly easy to get stuff done. And again, you can go anywhere to get anything you want now. So you need to be able to speak to, we as consumers, we're selfish. What's in it for me? What's the so what here? So that was something that we really had to be rigorous and disciplined about. And it's what we were talking about earlier, why what we're doing you guys and us and the multitude of others, why it's so hard to build for consumers and golf especially, because it's very crowded. It's a very, very mature market. It's not a market that's really wide open in the sense of there's all these big brands. Some of them have been around 100 years. And one thing that we've learned, which is still very hard, is the behavior shift, especially with balls. You wouldn't believe the amount of finicky behavior people have with playing balls. A couple of examples. One, we had one person who's like, I love your balls, they're incredible, but I absolutely need to look down at my swing and see calligraphy. I need to see cursive writing, or I need to have a yellow or a green ball. Even though your balls may be better, I need to be able to look down and see a yellow ball. So golf balls are it's very hard
But
to
again,
change your.
nobody is going to have a golf ball uh, that is literally for everyone, because everyone
Yes.
playing the game is so
Hmm.
diverse, right? When it
Hmm.
comes to, you know, it's global and everybody
Hmm.
plays it, and you're never going to get a golf ball that that one golf ball that's for everyone, because everyone's tastes, um, preferences are
Hmm.
obviously not going to be on the same par as everyone else's. And I don't think that as a brand, and I'm not giving you any advice here, but that's not the market you're trying to get to. Is that one person that likes a lime green ball? You're
Hmm.
trying to play to the people, uh, the 99% of people that play golf for fun, not the 1% that are pros, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
And I will say, I'm totally with you. And I will say candidly, part of the challenge we had is we have all these things to contend with: the difficultness of the market of golf and the behavior, all these different macro things that are happening. When you say the everyday golfer, well, there's a million potentially different personas of everyday golfers, and a stick could be considered an everyday golfer because they're one handicap, and they're not playing in tournaments. They're through the roof, just incredibly good. Well, when we've said, hey, we're targeting the everyday golfer, we've really learned that we've in some cases had to change personas of who we're targeting, because again, we've had people buy our stuff as a brand who are those sticks, and we're not going to turn people away, of course, but they have requests and demands and wants from a brand. So it's been a challenge for us to say, no, we need to maybe get much more crisper and much more specific on who we're actually targeting. And I think every startup and every early company goes through that as a fact finding journey. And we're still on it, of course, early in our journey. But I think that's one of the hardest part, when you don't necessarily want to go broad, but we had to do that, and as a positioning standpoint. So that was definitely a challenge.
yeah, and again, so from where you started, from where you are now, obviously you've seen the growth. Um, you're getting into tournaments, dealing with other people, getting in that way. Um,
Hmm.
how does that help your growth? And again, exposure, because because we follow you on the social medias, we see your logo, your brand regularly. So what else do you
Hmm.
do to get that recognition of say, hey, we're a small brand golf ball company, but
Hmm.
we're here for the 99%.
Hmm. The big thing and the big proponent of that and driver was really the social club community, which I will say was very uncomfortable for us coming from a software world. If you think about software, building a software company, when you release a piece of software, you get potential scale right away. Could be hundreds, thousands, millions of users, depending on the space you're building in. For us building a community, it was literally zero, one, two, three, brick by brick. So we had to unlearn the launch something, you get instant scale behavior and tactic. So it was basically myself through the Instagram and just recruiting people to these local events and then growing through there. But it's a very manual process. And I think the benefit of that is there's a rabid group that you build that really loves, a group of enthusiasts. Not everyone loves it though. I mean, I can't tell you how many examples where we got the other side of it, that just people weren't particularly thrilled or intrigued or interested, or maybe they didn't say nice things at all. You know how this game goes. You see it all. We meet all sorts of characters, but that was a big driver of it, because also we had no marketing budget. We were basically, just living off, the fuel of the company, of the sales, and investing it back into the business. So that's been the big thing is, and I think also on Instagram, it's for people who, hey, why don't you try these darts out? And we would send them some darts and they would play them and they really liked the product. And I think them talking about the product has helped a lot. But I would say the in-person stuff has really, really helped, because it's what we talked about again before, the incredible people like yourselves who are doing incredible things for the space and the community. We're able to get together and help each other grow. And that's what's really amazing about all this, is the people, the incredible, amazing people who are working hard and taking things a distance, and are, like yourself, salt of the earth, just all in support, and just great humans. So that, I think, is what fuels a lot of it. And we could probably talk about, there's parts of the space that maybe aren't particularly nice. You're gonna get that with every industry. But it's the group that we engage with and collab with, that's what keeps us building and growing.
I don't know. Maybe I'm still waiting because it's going to come eventually, but I'm still waiting for our first, I guess, negative interaction. We haven't quite
Mm-hmm.
had one yet, knock on wood, that,
Mm-hmm.
like, because again, we're honest about, we're new to the game relatively,
Mm-hmm.
and but we love the game,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess, as long as you love the game, and you're honest with the game and honest with the people,
Mm-hmm.
that you're talking to, you may be able to keep those negative interactions to a minimum, right? And again,
Mm-hmm.
there's always going to be people out there that don't like what you're doing. I mean, I guess my biggest negative interaction would have been, has nothing to do with this. It actually has to do with, us here in person, in our group maybe, but I won't get
Mm-hmm.
into that. But
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
I actually went on the My Golf Spy forum, because they have a
Mm-hmm.
forum on your golf ball, and I started reading some of the reviews and some of the comments. Now, pal, I read a few, and I didn't get any negative comments on that forum at all about your golf ball and the people that use them. So that's a big kudos.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Digging into the bowels of my golf spy.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, I went and did some work on this, and I was looking for that group of people that were like, yeah, no, this is crap. I couldn't find them, pal.
Well, I appreciate that. They definitely exist. I would say, they've come from many different places. I'm with you. I always joke that, with planning events, it's like wedding planning. There's everything that no one ever sees behind the scenes, all the nuances of planning, and then when you get there, people don't realize how hard work it is just to even plan a golf tournament. So I kudos to you guys for
Yeah,
doing
same
that.
thing
I know
doing setting up our Mulligans and Hackers tour dates. Yeah, it can be a little bit of a frustrating process, but again, we're 3 years into it, and it's starting to get a
Mhm.
little more, sorted out with our friends and stuff. But yeah, those type of things,
Yeah.
man, take a lot of effort. And if you're doing them from, we'll say, a global perspective, that could be just
Mhm.
right out in left field.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Yeah. So I think, the critical feedback that we get, which I think when you build, because the other thing with golf is, even though there's a rabidness and enthusiasts, they're also potentially very critical on things. So I think if you're going to get candidness, golf is a space where you're going to get very, very honest, sometimes tough feedback. We've had the occasional, just people didn't like the balls, but um sometimes you have to realize that maybe they don't like it. It's maybe not specific about us, or the ball may be very good, and it's just something that they didn't like that has nothing to do with us. And it's the same with online feedback. I mean, it's a common thing in society, the negativity, or people having the microphone and the amplification to be able to easily say something that's on their mind that may not be nice to someone else, or may not be nice in general. um and I sometimes have to realize, because we've had online stuff, people comments and trolls or whoever, but sometimes I have to realize that maybe it has nothing to do with us. It's just maybe they had a bad day, or something else happened in the past. It is, because I sometimes take things to heart, because I'm putting my blood, sweat, and tears into building
It's your
Odin.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sometimes I have to have the perspective of, just you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar, is
Hmm.
the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And I think that's how we've tried to run the business, but sometimes it's very hard, and that's just life. And that's social media too. So
It's a
I'm
different
with
animal
you.
for sure.
It's a different animal, but again, it's the amazing people that we've met. You gave a great example, Mac from Off the Screws, an incredible human, a big supporter. He was a big supporter of ours. And it's people like
Huge
that,
supporter of
or
ours.
huge, and just incredible people that we're building together in the trenches, which is incredible. And it's a lot of fun.
And I think for myself personally, like, you know, uh, not that we've had much negative interactions, but even those negative interactions, I don't think would really take away from those type of friendships and those type of relations that you've made with people, and especially us over the 3 years now we've been doing this. Because I think our our 3 year anniversary was the 19th, which was, what is the date? So that was yesterday. So yesterday was literally
Mm,
3 years ago. We put out our first podcast yesterday, 3 years ago.
incredible.
So now we're going into our fourth year, and
Mm,
I don't think any of those negative interactions could really take away from the positive relationships, the friends we've made, the contacts that we've made.
hmm.
That's what I would focus on personally. Is, hey, we still have our friends in this game, and the people that don't like what we're doing, or don't have a vested interest in what we're doing. That's fine. You take your ball and go home, but
Hmm.
we have our friends that we've made, and hopefully this is another one that we've made here today with you. Because again, you seem
Yes.
like a really cool dude, and I was looking forward to this big time. So you've got your ball, you've got your brand, you're marketing it, and you're getting into the community, which is a big thing, right? And you're starting to help people, with events and stuff like that. What's if there is, if what's the next step for Odin, or what would be the vision for the next step? Because one of the things we talked about off cameras were our milestones have come here now over this past winter. We've hit quite a few
Hmm.
milestones. And one of our friends said to us, "Well, Alvin, it seems like you're at the beginning of the next phase of Mulligans and Hackers." And I was like, "Well, that actually sounds right. Like, we've we're at this stage, and we're at the beginning of the next stage. Like, we've left the beginning behind, and now we're at the beginning of a new phase. What does that look like for Odin now? The next phase, the beginning of the next phase."
There are two things. Number one is our community and community events. So we have these events called shindigs, and we collaborate very closely. Do you know Derek and Dom from Save
You
Park?
bet. We've been on their podcast, and they've been on ours, and
Incredible.
they're they're
Okay.
they're guys too that we communicate with quite regularly. Again, in the same sphere, just genuine, honest people, and love what we do. Right. So yeah, I do know Derek and Tom, and they're two cool cats. And I know you have an event with them coming up.
Yes, yes, they're incredible humans, and we'll have to get together in person. I don't know where, but we need to make that happen, Alvin, and we'll hit the sticks. And I also want to hear about the trips that you guys do, which we can get into. But so we do these events with them. We call them shindigs. We had the first one last year in Northern California. We had one in January in Arizona, and then we have one in July in Minnesota. And I'm actually going to be flying out from Berlin for that, so that should be fun. Never been to Minnesota or the Midwest, so that's going to be fantastic. Might be hot as shit, but we'll get some pierogi and some pops and play classic Minnesota golf. So we have that. We want to keep growing that event series. And the second thing is getting the darts and in front of as many people as we can. We have the product, we have the validation, we have the community, support and love. We really want to get that in front of more people because you wouldn't believe, I mean, as you know, how big the space is. So those are the two big focus areas for us. And they're very big, tall tasks, but
I was going
we
to say that
yeah.
that'll keep you engaged for quite some time in growing
Yeah.
those type of aspects. So,
Hmm.
okay, pal. Now we've talked about the brand. We've talked about what Odin golf balls are. So, Jordan, let's get into some of your golf now. Let's get into that sphere of Jordan's golf game. So, like, how often do you get to go? And I mean, you're in Germany. You're in Berlin right now. I don't know what the weather's like there. Is there a season for golf in Germany? And I guess one of my other questions would be, how often do you make it back over here across the pond so that you can play golf over here and not have to have your license and not have to negotiate to get on a golf course? So
Right.
how often do you play and what does that look like for you?
So I make it back 2 or 3 times a year, and our other HQ is Northern California, where I grew up. So I like to come back and see the community, and I get to play a lot more there, 3 or 4 times a week whenever I'm back. It's mainly to get content, which we were joking before. I don't know how people do it. I
I
think
don't either.
I've talked to I have so many people who are like, it's incredibly difficult to play, get your phone out. These famous YouTubers basically have film crews and they block off holes and stuff. But just like going out and playing a normal round is very, very hard. So I'm with everyone and applaud
I
everyone for
wish we
doing
could
that.
get more golf content from the course, but like I was saying to you before we started here, like when I go to the golf course, I just want to play. I don't want to deal with phones. I don't want to
Totally.
deal with cameras. I don't want to be pushing record. I want to focus on my game, and that's why I think that if we actually like if Mulligans and Hackers actually got to that point where we actually had some golf course content, we
Hmm.
might be able to grow a little bit bigger, faster, or
Yeah.
whatever. But that's not really the goal either. The goal is just connecting, getting our golf and
Mhm.
playing our rounds and just doing this social media connecting. But I would really
Hmm.
like to be able to get some content from the course because again, we have a good time. We joke around, we laugh, and every now and then there's a good shot here and there. But back to your golf, you get over
Hmm.
here, you play 3 rounds. Do you play much in Germany?
I get out. So Germany very delineated seasons. There's a winter, which is incredibly rough, very, very dark. There's a spring, there's a summer, there's a fall, etc. So we're just getting through the winter now. The ground is like basically hitting off granite. It's starting to warm up a little bit. So I think it's similar to you live that in Canada too.
Yeah, yeah. I was just
Probably more, it's probably more brutal winter wise than it is here
Well,
where
we're
you are,
we're
I
hoping
imagine.
for our fifth spring here now in the last 2 months, maybe. Yeah, our fifth spring.
Mm, okay.
Because again, we played 3 rounds of golf a week ago, and then
Mm,
Wednesday when we woke up, there was a layer of snow on the ground, and when I woke up yesterday morning, there was another layer of snow on the ground, and so our
oh
golf course
shit.
is like, yeah, we're shut down until at least we get the frost out of the ground for a little bit. It's like,
Oh
like you
man.
play, and again, we played in 18 degrees weather here, Celsius, and
Yeah.
yesterday it was zero again. Like,
Oh,
can't get rolling here right
fuck,
away, but
man.
it's coming, and just got to be patient. We've got
Yeah.
I think we've got 4 tee times booked for next week because it's supposed to be double digits, so we're gonna get at it. Just be patient, but
You're getting at it. Four tea times booked. That's a hell of a move.
yeah, man. Well, again, we got to get caught up here. We've missed a few rounds
Yeah.
here because of the snow, so we got to
Yeah.
get back. And we're at a new course, which is a whole new, finding out the no-go areas on the fairways and learning to navigate this new course. It's a par 72.
Mm-hmm.
You know, much more challenging than the course we're coming from in certain aspects, not in all.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we have some work to do here early in the season that we need to get to here, and Mother Nature's not cooperating. So let's, you know, we're waiting
Mm-hmm.
for it. We're waiting for that. We're waiting for that. You know, 5, 6 rounds a week temperature that we get to here eventually. Because again, I think over the winter here there was one period where we hit -50 with the wind chill for like 3 days.
Oh my God.
And
Jeez.
literally, dude, nothing moved. Like every vehicle was just a hunk of ice. It was crazy. And then when in the summertime we can get up to +40 Celsius, right? Like we're just like, yeah, I'm not going golfing in that weather because
That's uncomfortable.
that's heat stroke 101,
Yeah.
those type of
Mm-hmm.
temperatures. But so I was going to
Right.
ask you though, Jordan. So you're
Mm-hmm.
in Germany here now. Have you ever thought about the trip north to the UK? And there's a golf course up there that you know is kind of near and dear to our hearts, and you know that's on our bucket list, like St. Andrews. Is that a trip that
Mm.
you would kind of organize your crew to just go and spend maybe a few days there and get that gem in?
Well, if you guys are going there, I might have to tag on to that.
It's a
it is one
bucket
of
list
those.
for us, pal. You know, and it's one of those things like so. Personally, Augusta is my course. The Masters is my jam. That
Mm-hmm.
when I
Sure.
got it, when I
Sure.
got into this sport and started looking back through the history, because I'm kind of an armchair
Mm-hmm.
historian. I went back and Augusta really kind of it hit it for me that
Mm-hmm.
the nuance, the you know the not everybody can play it. You know that type
Mm-hmm.
of the Masters itself as a tournament and how
Mm-hmm.
prestigious that is. Um, but the home of golf, St. Andrews,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, we can go play that course. And so me and Chris were talking. It was like maybe there's a bucket list trip there, you know, down the
Mm-hmm.
road in the next 5 years. Maybe you know if we could put something together, we could go and you know spend a week over in Scotland and play St. Andrews and maybe a couple of the other courses because we had a lovely lady on not too long ago, Kenzie, and her first golf trip, first golf trip, she just got in swinging clubs here in the last little while, and her first golf trip was to St. Andrews, and I'm like, well, where do you go from there?
No
Like you
kidding.
literally
Oh,
you play the home
people
of
go
golf,
decades without you
right?
haven't played
And
there,
that's your
right?
first. So every place else she
Yeah.
goes, like, well, it's not St. Andrews,
Mm.
right?
Shit,
You
man.
know, right?
Jeez.
But that's one of the places we want to go. But I mean, you're
Mm-hmm.
how far is that trip from you in Germany, like in
That's a
Berlin?
couple-hour flight, and it's very, very feasible. So if you guys are planning something, cooking something up, keep me in the loop there.
But it's not something that you would just do on your own. Grab your crew and go. I mean, like literally a 2 hour flight, pal.
I know. Yeah, I know. I can't believe I haven't done it. Do you know Beard from Sucker Pin Society?
We just kind of started getting acquainted with each other through the socials. Yeah,
Okay. He's another character, incredible human. He's in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we know him, where we incubated the social club community. And then another person, Patricia, she's Ice Golf Bay Area. Patricia Callahan, she's also a very close friend of ours. Incredible, very big supporter. We've talked about jokingly, and Beard from Sucker Pin is also a very rabid enthusiast about making it to St. Andrews. So maybe we could do a combo, your crew, our crew, and we can all just have one big love fest and go
that's
play, hit the sticks, and
that
spend some
sounds
time over there.
absolutely fantastic. What a trip that would be. Holy smokes! And again,
And
you've
Derek
talked
and
about
Dom too,
yeah, right.
Mac,
Uh,
whoever wants to come on, come all, baby.
just the social media, you know, St. Andrews golf trip.
Mm-hmm.
What an idea! I'm gonna have to put that in the back of my mind and you know try and incubate that.
Oh man, that's what we do, Alvin. We're jamming and let the ideas flow, and no idea is too wild in our book,
No, it
right?
isn't. Not now. I mean, we're as I said to you before. You know, as people say to us, we're in it now. So I guess we're in it. So you know,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that means, we're in it. Um,
Yeah.
but so let's get into some golf gear geek stuff. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so you know we're golfers. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to know what my guests have and are using, what's in the bag. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
are you rocking right now? Like when you go to the golf course, whether it's in Germany or you come back over here on this side of the pond and you go to the golf course, what are you rocking in that bag?
So, traditionally, I grew up playing hand-me-down clubs. My older brother was really the golfer of the family. He played in college and was I still haven't beaten him to this day. So he always had all the top of the line stuff and always new clubs. And when he was many decades ago, in high school, we worked at a golf shop. So in our garage, we've had just all sorts of random clubs, and I would basically whatever was in there, I would throw into the bag. So I never, for the longest time until 4 years ago, actually bought clubs. And it got so bad. So 4 years ago, I upgraded to this is how I guess maybe it speaks to the brand, the cheapness. I bought a floor set at PGA Superstore of M4s, TaylorMades. I didn't even get them fitted, or I just literally bought them off the floor because I was, saved $100 or whatever. It got so bad before that as I was hitting the clubs, like the heads were falling off, the fiberglass was opening up. I was playing clubs from it must have been the early aughts or late 90s. I still have a Cleveland in my bag that's a rusty Cleveland head. Do you remember back in the day where that was all the right? Well, maybe you were familiar with it or heard about it back in the
I
day.
do know, yes.
The rusty Cleveland, like it was the look, and it was supposed to help with the game. And the old I forget the name of the grips with the green, the turquoise streaks through them, very hard grips. um they might be old golf pride grips, maybe. But anyway, so I was playing those, and then I eventually upgraded. So I have the TaylorMade M4s, which um, it's like a typical run of the mill set. They aren't blades. I think they're steel shafts, for
Yeah, and
example.
they're not
Again, and
cavity backs either, right?
no, I don't believe so.
No.
They also have the floor model stickers on them, which I should probably take off with a hair dryer. But so that's what I'm working with. And then of course Odin darts. And yeah, driver wise, I have a tailor-made driver that I bought on eBay.
Yeah, I'm rocking a TaylorMade R9 driver right now.
Okay,
And
okay.
it's serving me pretty well right now, but there might have to be an upgrade here soon, that's for sure.
I sometimes wonder, like, am I leaving too much on the table, like cheaping out and
I
just
ask myself
buying?
that too, pal, but
Yeah.
again, we talked about it before. Golf is an expensive sport, and I'm not the type of
Mm-hmm.
guy that needs the newest, I don't need that QI 10 or whatever that's just came out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
need that stuff because there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, that these companies have come out with that were really good and supposedly top of the line when they came out that are good
Mm-hmm.
for me and golfers of my ilk, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
I don't
So
need
when
that.
oh yeah, I'm with you. And I think the other thing too is, so when you play, do you go out and just play? Are you doing score? Are you doing analysis of green regulation and
Yeah,
optimizing and
well,
improving that way?
we're at the point now where we play a lot of golf, and finding
Mm-hmm.
out where your weak spots are is definitely
Mm-hmm.
important for us. You know, we score all of our scores now. There's no mulligans. Back in the day, we were mulligans and hackers, and yes, we used to take
Mm-hmm.
mulligans, but now we've gotten to the point where we don't do that anymore. You know, every drop is counted,
Okay.
every penalty shot is counted, and
Mm-hmm.
we're legitimately trying to bring our handicaps down.
Mm-hmm.
Through a lot of work. I mean, we haven't neither Chris nor myself have ever taken a lesson. It's all hitting a lot of balls on the range and doing a lot of work on the chipping green, doing a lot of work on putting greens. That's what we do. Again, it's early in the season. I see a lot of positives for myself off the tee box so far this year. I don't miss too many fairways, but again, I'm not long. Like I mean, I'm a 250, 260 yard type driver off the tee box.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The second shots into the greens, that's
Mm-hmm.
where my work needs to come in. And again, I'm like you, so I
Mm-hmm.
I never bought a set of golf clubs in my life until we started this, and like 3 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, I bought the Wilson
Mm-hmm.
D7 irons. And I did the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. I actually went and bought them from the golf store online. Like they took them off the shelf. I didn't even see these things. They just showed up in a box, and that's what I play. Never had them fitted
Yeah.
for me. Um,
Uh-huh.
and so I just use those irons and I hit a lot of shots with them and I'm trying to figure stuff out. But that's part of the joy of getting into this game too and just hitting a lot of golf balls and figuring stuff out.
Yeah, tinkering and yeah,
Yep.
just
Yeah.
having some fun. Yeah, and so tell me about. I imagine there's similarities, but tell me about golf in Canada. Are people playing music? Are they boozing? Is there food, or is it play and then you do all of that
No,
after?
it's you know what? It's all of that, pal. Like we'll go out to the
Okay.
course and the guy will have a little speaker on his golf cart and it'll be rocking
Mm-hmm.
some tunes. But because of the openness of the field, most of the times you don't hear it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just passing by. We don't play a lot of music. I mean, again, I've played with people in our crew. You know that like to partake in a few wobbly pops and maybe even a puff or
Mm-hmm.
two. I don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the
Mm-hmm.
three years I've played golf, I've probably had about three beer on the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I go there for. I go there to play, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to get better. But uh, you know, however you want to play, you go and play your game and go and hang out with the boys. You do it. That's the thing. But here in
Mm-hmm.
Canada, you'll get all that, all those aspects, right? There'll be people that are just just going for to hang out with the guys, make a few shots, and have a few wobbly pops. There'll be people that are like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, pro rules.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is furthest guy from the pin is shooting, and don't walk on my line type stuff. We get all those type of characters here.
Mm-hmm.
I always used to find, like, again, early when we started this 3 years ago, if you went to a bigger course, I always personally, and this might just have been a personal thing, but like they were always stuffy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially these bigger courses, where all these members, no different, lots of money, blah blah blah. And, you're at my course, right? And it's like, but now that we've been doing it for so long, I don't even recognize that anymore. Like I just go and play, and it's almost like, well, I've been playing it enough now that yeah, you know what? I show up. It doesn't matter. I should be here. I'm just like you. I play golf,
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of the feeling we get now when we go to the golf course. And
Mm-hmm.
again, we've only been to this new one three times now. We played it a bunch last year. This one was always kind of on our tour schedule. Like we always played this one at least once a year in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But the first hole is a par five dog leg right around the driving range. And I'll tell you, it used to be such an intimidating hole for me because I wasn't long off the
Mm-hmm.
tee. So I could never get it to the corner to have a look at the green. It was always a three-shot hole. And it's still a three-shot hole for me, granted. But
Mm-hmm.
the amount of golf we've played now in the last few years, like that hole is not so intimidating to me anymore. Like
Mm-hmm.
right, you get to the point where I have the shots to deal with this. Yeah, you know what? I might bogey it. I might even double bogey it, but I can get
Mm-hmm.
there. I can get around this, and again, the ability to get around this course just shows my growth in the game and Chris's growth in the game. Our ability
Mm-hmm.
to get around these big courses now is not as it's not such a trial as it used to be probably back 3 years ago when we started this,
Mm-hmm.
because we have those shots
Is
in the bag now, right?
Isn't that an incredible feeling? There's these unlocks in your golf journey. I think that's a fantastic example. Like this used to be not attainable for me, and now it is. And now there's possibilities that I have new shots in the bag, or maybe I can take the scenic route or not, or maybe I find a shortcut, whatever. That's what makes it, I think, especially fun.
We
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I will say, I'm curious where you stand on this. There's the boring golf route, which is middle of fairway, up and down, one or two putt. I guess those are more common with people who are sticks or who have been around the block and are very seasoned. I sometimes like being off to the right and then getting out of it, and then there's like some sort of thrill to it that I don't know if even if I could do boring golf that I would enjoy it. I like the adrenaline rush of maybe there is a donation and I'm already lying too, and I need to get a little bit more creative here, or I need to swing for the fences or whatever. How do you and Chris think about that
So
that journey to boring golf?
if I had the option of playing boring golf to score, I'd play it. but I don't quite
Sure.
have that. I don't quite have that
Mm-hmm.
option just
Yeah.
yet. But
Mm-hmm.
for us, I guess we come from a sports background and
Mm-hmm.
a competitive background, and
Mm-hmm.
we use this golf route now as a portal for our competitive natures. Chris
Mm-hmm.
coaches a high level, actually coaches a few high level volleyball teams. So he still,
Oh, okay.
as a coach, he still gets his competitive edge out there. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
that's why he's not here today. He's actually in Calgary coaching a volleyball tournament for
Mm-hmm.
one of his
Mm-hmm.
teams. Can't remember which one, but
Mm-hmm.
he does a lot of high school coaching, and he has his own club team that they
Mm-hmm.
were just in Vegas a little while ago for a tournament.
Oh, cool.
So he gets his competitive edge out in that, but he's competitive in golf as well. So me being having a little again after not coaching for a while and not being participating in sports for a while, the
Mm-hmm.
competitive edge has to come from somewhere. And so me and Chris, our scores are relatively close. So
Mm.
when we play golf, we're competing against each other. Not necessarily all
Oh,
the
okay.
time. Not necessarily all
Mm-hmm.
the time, but again,
Mm-hmm.
when we're done the round, we definitely check and see who scored lower for sure. That's where
Mm-hmm.
the Mulligans and Hackers tour came in, is we wanted to play and compete and get a little bit of a competitive edge against our pals. That's where that
Mm-hmm.
whole tour came from. And again,
Mm-hmm.
that we played a few rounds before we started this Mulligans and Hackers thing, and that's kind of where that came from. It's like, well, our scores are kind of close. It would be nice to know instead of, we played 19 rounds this year, or 15 rounds. How
Mm-hmm.
many did you win? Well, I don't know, right?
Mm.
Well, I think you won more than I did. Well, and take that and put it into a tour, because then you know who
Mm-hmm.
won it, and do a
Mm-hmm.
FedEx Cup style points for the season. Have your
Mm-hmm.
events, and now your a little bit of a competitive edge is gauged. I guess it would be right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and I always want to beat Chris, and Chris always wants to beat everybody. And Chris became our the guy we all love to beat. So he has that
Okay.
mantle for us because I think so. We've had three tour championships now. He's won two of the three. He won last
Ah.
year. I
Okay.
won the year, and that's our jacket. He's won
Oh, cool.
two of the Mulligans and Hackers jugs, which is our FedEx Cup style jug that we have for the whole
Mm-hmm.
season. I haven't won that one yet. So again, I want to win that. So
Yeah.
we have to go and play, and we have to be competitive, right? So it gets, even as old guys, we still have a little bit of a kid's edge here when we want to go play golf with our pals and play for
Yeah.
fake trophies and things that we have bragging rights over each other for, right? 2 years ago, we introduced a trophy. It's our major, and it's our 2 day major where we play Saturday and Sunday cumulative for
Mm-hmm.
this jug that's like the claret jug.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's a big one. I want to win that one as well, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you know these type of things keeps us young at heart for sure, and competing against our pals. And man, there's nothing better than going out and having a round of golf. And we were talking last year, we didn't do it. We kind of kept the tour inside of Medicine Hat last year because there was courses here in Medicine Hat. I mean, we're 65,000 people maybe. There's 5 golf courses in town and a par three.
Wow.
So there's a lot of golf courses here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was one of them that I had never played, Desert Bloom. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, if we made a Medicine Hat tour, we would just play all the courses in Medicine Hat, and that kind of worked out really well last year. So we had an opportunity to play that course twice last year, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the years before that, we actually did a tour, so where once a month we would travel to these little hidden gems around southern Alberta, southern Saskatchewan, southern BC,
Mm-hmm.
9 hole courses, little, community run courses, right? We would go and take our
Mm-hmm.
crew and roll up with 8, 12 guys at these courses,
Mm-hmm.
rolling hills, Burstall, Saskatchewan, and play, and everybody's on a level playing field because we've never been there, never played, and we go play 18 holes there and for a W, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it just, when you got your buddies around and you're doing something like that, man, it's definitely something to look forward to every summer for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the hockey background has helped you with a lot of the power off the tee,
No,
or just in general? Okay.
no, I was a goalie, so
Oh, okay.
I
Got
was
it.
always the worst skater on the team. Yeah, no, not at all. It didn't even help me with the mental part of the game, truthfully.
You know
That's
what,
probably one
shit,
of my.
man.
That's
I don't
probably.
even know. Even the pros have their tribes and tribulations, man.
Oh, man. This year, like towards last year was pretty good towards the end. This year has been pretty good so far, but man, that mental game
Hmm.
in golf can really hamper you. Like it is, it
Hmm.
is, it's just as big as putting, in my opinion. Like if you're a good putter on
Hmm.
golf, you can save yourself some strokes. But if you have a strong mental game, you can save yourself some strokes as well. But because that's a different, again, golf mentality, that's a different animal itself. And boy, I tell you,
Hmm.
the the golf rage can well up very quick in an 18 hole round. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, it's because I've talked with hockey players before, and some of them have said, yeah, also baseball players, like the
That
power
turn.
of
Yep.
yeah, the turn, the hip movement is where they were able to draw from, and then they worked out the mechanics and stuff after because they step up like you're ready to hit the crap out of the puck or a baseball or that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, not again. I've been out of sports for so long, and the physical aspect of it that I really had to learn
Hmm.
golf pretty much from scratch.
Mm.
By just going to the driving range and hitting bucket after bucket of balls. And I'll tell you, Chris. Well, say Chris is over the course of this Mulligans and Hackers tour that we've done. I've definitely seen Chris be the guy that's probably improved the most over the period of time because he does put a lot of work in. I'll give him kudos for that. Like his
Hmm.
range sessions, his putting sessions, like he puts the work in. So I'm really interested because I think we said earlier in the pod, like we joined the Alberta Golf Tour and we're going to play a couple of events on that tour this year. I'm really
Hmm.
interested to see how that plays out. Like, like having the shots and being able to go and play courses and not be intimidated. That's kind of where we're at. So I'm really interested to go and play the course. We're going to play Mickelson National in Calgary. I'm really interested to go and see how you perform there for the first time. Like, you get your yardage book and start working out some plans on how you're going to get around this course. I'm really interested to see how that plays out because one of our
Hmm.
events is in Desert Bloom, and we've played that course a few times now, so kind of have it in my head how I would want to get around that course. There's one trouble hole there that I've had trouble with a couple times, and I know it's going to be a trouble hole, and I just kind of got to kind of manage that a little bit. But those type of things, like those experiences are going to be something, man, that we're going to be able to carry with us forever, right? Like
Hmm.
first time
Hmm.
playing in a amateur tour, first time playing in an event, those type of things. That's kind of
Hmm.
as we do these podcasts and the social media part of it. But those are the experiences, man, that we're really looking forward to. Where we can go, what we can do, and where we can play. We're
Hmm.
looking forward to that, pal.
That's incredible. And then do you have trips planned this year?
No, not necessarily, because we're really full. Again, it's kind of a transition year for us. So we have a new
Hmm.
course that we're playing, so we're going to play there a lot. There's
Hmm.
tournaments. There's tournaments that come up through there.
Hmm.
The two events that we've focused on for the Alberta Golf Tour doesn't leave a lot of time for a lot of other things so far this summer. Now, if something crops up, we'll see. But
Hmm.
no, we're going to try and keep it close to home this year.
Well, if you guys get a little spindly and want to come down to Minnesota July
I know
20th.
Derek and Dom have reached out to us about that one before, and it's like, yeah, guys, you know what? One of these days we're gonna try and do something for sure. But Jordan, like we have other groups as well that invite us to their
Yeah.
tournaments, like pretty much all across Canada now. Those things come with, I guess, the more you grow in social media, and it's like,
Hmm.
I'd love to be able to do them all. It would be something
Hmm.
else because we would
Totally.
we would literally be able to go coast to coast here in Canada, right? Like if we just went to
Hmm.
these tournaments. So we got to kind of, and again, we're not rolling in the cash here.
Hmm.
We're not a, so we kind of have to pick and choose what we wanted to do. And this summer was really, we wanted to do that Alberta Golf Tour thing. And that's where we pigeonholed our finances into, was making sure we could get into that and get that done. And so the trips, again, down the road as the brand
Yeah.
grows, we'll see what happens, man. But somewhere, somehow, yes, because I'd like to meet Derek and Dom in person and do that
Hmm.
yourself, and even some other people that we've had the pleasure, Mac from On the Screws, Mike, Johnny from
Hmm.
36 a Day. I'd love to
Hmm.
golf with all these people, and eventually we're going to get there, and we'll see how it all plays out.
Sounds great. Yeah, you guys have a hell of a docket this year. It's going to be. I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, I can't wait to just get it going. Get that first
Hmm.
event under our belts and go. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, are we amateur golfers now? Now that we've played on an amateur tour, can we put that in our
Hmm.
bios now in our social medias? Amateur golfer.
We can put whatever we want in there, Alvin.
That's true. That's true. Just if you put pro golfer, then you got to live up to some expectations. Then I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, but it's exciting, and I also love that around you that there's plenty of courses that you guys can have some variety.
Yeah, we actually. So our course actually has a dual membership with another course in town called Canot. So
Mm.
we actually purchased the dual membership so that we can play both regularly. So
Hmm.
you get that
Hmm.
different look. So yeah, man, it's going to again, this is a transition year for us and we're excited to just, you know, get out there and do what we can do this summer and have those experiences. So looking forward to that, pal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's exciting, and yeah, and we will get together in person for sure one day. We will make that happen.
Well, yeah, man, that's something I'm looking forward to as well. Like, again,
Hmm.
we talked about experiences in golf. Those type of experiences of meeting people that we've actually had been able to have the chat with here on the podcast is something that we would definitely look forward to as well, man, for sure. Well,
Mm.
Jordan, buddy, I really appreciate your time. This has been a blast. It was really nice meeting you, talking about Odin Golf, and all the best to you and your brand. And maybe we'll work something out down the road here.
Definitely, man. Thank you so much for all the help and support, and most importantly, thanks for all the incredible work that you and Big Chris do for the community, and keep building and keep the train going. We're all rooting for you, and exciting times ahead. So
Well,
so thank you for everything.
thanks, pal. I appreciate that. Those words mean a lot. I can tell you.
You
All right,
got
pal.
it. Well, thanks again. Yeah, appreciate it.
Take care, man.